Little taste of that one with the Wizards up by 7, trying to break a 2-game losing streak. Look at Thomas Satoransky taking the opportunity provided by John Wall's absence. He's averaged just under 11 points, under 5 assists a game so far here in February. Taking advantage of that tonight. No Markieff Morris out with flu-like symptoms, and so Kelly Oubre got the start. Meanwhile, facing a Chicago team that ended its 7-game losing streak against Minnesota last night, a comeback win there. But Washington, give me kind of a, I don't know, status report on the Wizards as you see them. They had that 5-game win streak without Wall. They've lost a couple of since. Where do you see them right now?
Well, initially it looked like when Wall went out, they rallied behind Beal, who led the way for them, and Beal was playing terrific ball. The team was moving the ball, sharing the ball. It was almost like they were saying, like, this is how we want to play all the time. So, John, when you come back, take a look at it, and let's remember, so we keep playing this way. And John Wall did come out with a statement at that time, and he, I think, was a little upset with some of the stuff the media was writing. They've had a couple of losses. Media. Yeah, those media guys. But they've bounced back here, and this team could do damage in the playoffs, a little bit of damage.
Could they? I mean, and how much?
A little bit.
I'm interested to see what the dynamic of this team is. Because, well, you see tonight they have 23 assists. And since John Wall has been out, the ball's been moving a lot. 23 assists in the third quarter, so that means they're probably going to end up with close to 30 assists. That's a big number. And since Wall's been out, the assists have gone up, and that's why you started seeing the comments from Gortat, like, this is a good team winning quotation marks that he put up there. Or you saw Bradley Beal with the comment, you know, everybody eats. Almost like they were taking digs at John Wall, and then John Wall came back and he said that he didn't appreciate some of those comments. He thought they were aimed at him. So I want to see what the psyche is of this team, because it seems like you have some of the role players against the team's star. You don't really see that too much, and I want to see how that plays out. What's that dynamic like on the court? Because, Coach, you know, you don't have to be buddy-buddy in the locker room, but you have to get along on the court, and it almost seems like what you said. Here's the style of play that they want played even when John Wall comes back, and they're trying to get that point across to him, and John Wall sitting around out there a little upset, a little mad, and I would be too if I gave everybody Rolex watches and they were talking about me in social media. Matter of fact, if I gave you a Rolex watch and you sent out a tweet like that, I need my watch back.
Oh, you want the watch back?
I want my watch back. I would, if I was John Wall, I'd take my watch back. Gortat, let me get my watch back.
You can't have my watch back.
No,
sorry.
Give me my watch.
You can't have my watch. It's my watch now. You gave.
If I give you a Rolex at Christmas, you can't talk junk about me on social media. You got to send me a text to tell me that, man.
Even if it's not all directly directed at Wall, the message is pretty clear, right? I mean, we're enjoying playing this new way where everybody's involved and where we share the ball.
Man, I was hoping that, you know, we hear players come back and they say, well, I'm watching and I'm learning a lot about watching my team. I'm learning a lot that I can do to help them when I do come back.
Right.
We have to take it the right way. It's not meant that it's not like they don't like you, but they're saying, we play well when we play this way. So if you're learning while you're watching, then when you come back, try to fit into that and help them achieve 30 assists a night if that's what they want to do.
But Coach, don't you think there's a right and a wrong way to go about things? If I want you to get a message across, isn't it better for me to come to you and say, hey, Coach, I think we should play this way, instead of tweeting out a message and then Matt tweeting out a message that we want to host the show in a different way?
I hate doing that.
Yeah, so I think, you know what gets lost? With this younger generation, there's too much stuff that goes through the media, not enough face-to-face dialogue. Hey, let's go to dinner. Let's sit down and just talk this out. You don't need to tweet that.
Kids these days.
I know, I sound like such an old fogey right now. I'm disappointed in myself.
You really do. And
I sound like my mother.
By the way, B, you can't have my watch.
Okay.
All right, let's check in on the Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Ask Kevin Durant how it feels to play with a team that shares the ball, that plays as a unit, rather than having to carry the load and maybe share with another guy. Warriors and Spurs. Warriors are in a, by their standards, a horrific slump. They've lost 3 of 5 coming out of this one.
Well, we expect so much from this team, so any time when they're not just absolutely steamrolling the competition, we wonder what's wrong with the Warriors. But you know what? They're human. And, you know, right about now they're stumbling into the All-Star break, but I expect to see better play from them once we get on the other side of that.
Well, they're a victim of their own success, obviously. And losing 3 of 5, that just hasn't happened very often in the Steve Kerr era. 10-0 Spurs run there with the LaMarcus Aldridge bucket. Klay Thompson with an answer as they come back 7-0.
I win a three-point competition.
I got Devin Booker.
I was going to say, a lot of people are picking Klay.
Yeah, he's the popular.
Steph Curry for the layup. Greg Popovich has to chat with young Bryn Forbes.
Great pass.
They move it. Derek White, the rookie, to Kyle Anderson for the dunk, and then Curry to Draymond Green.
Golden State Swiss Army knife does a little bit of everything.
And after all that, the Warriors come out of it 58-55. They're shooting just under 55%. They have 16 assists already at the half. Likewise for the Spurs, Anderson and Aldridge each with 14. I don't even want to talk about Golden State here because I don't think there's any question that in most people's minds that they're going to recover and they're going to be fine. Maybe a slight question about the bench, maybe. But for the Spurs, to me, it's remarkable they are where they are, considering their best player and a top 5 NBA player in most people's minds has not been on the floor for the most part here. How are they getting this done? And if Kawhi Leonard is not ready at some point before the playoffs, is this team, how vulnerable are they in the postseason?
Well, if he's not ready for the playoffs, what does it mean for the future of Kawhi Leonard and this franchise? But speaking to the success of the franchise, I think it has to do with establishing the system that they have, Greg Popovich being there for as long as he had. The key guys understand, the Ginobilis and the Tony Parkers and Patty Mills coming off the bench for them. They understand what Spurs basketball is supposed to be like. And every once in a while they falter, take a couple steps back because a few of those guys I mentioned have a couple of years on them right now. But Aldridge has had a sensational year for this team, and they win because of the system in San Antonio.
They're just 10-10 over their last 20 games. It really is remarkable they are where they are in the standings.
It's remarkable where they are, and we have to give credit to Pop in that Spurs system. The Spurs way wins out once again. You know, Kawhi hasn't been healthy this year. He's been in and out of the lineup. Spurs are still finding a way to be a top team in the NBA, top team out west. But what it means for them long term, if Kawhi Leonard isn't healthy, that means this team is vulnerable to be knocked out of the playoffs at any time. They could lose in the first round, second round. It doesn't matter. They could go home early because in the playoffs, things slow down. This team already struggles a little bit to score in the half court. They're not a great offensive team. You know, they're probably in the they're probably in the bottom, 7 or 8 teams offensively. The way they're beating people is with their defense. They're one of the better defensive teams in the league. Well, they can hang their hat on their defense, but in the playoffs, if you can't score points, you're going to have some long nights because there are a lot of explosive teams that are out there playing right now. If they got matched up with a team like Denver in a 7-game series, there might be some nights where Denver could just have more firepower than them.
Well, Brendan, what about this? They're still one of the teams that stays with 2 big men as opposed to having that stretch 4 behind the three-point line all the time. You've got Gasol, Aldridge, and Pop is staying with that.
Yeah,
I mean, he had moved Gasol out of that starting lineup.
Right, he's got Bertans starting here lately and Pau coming off the bench, but he will throw both of them out there together. It's an interesting question moving forward, and both these teams, by the way, buyout candidates for players who become available over the next few days.
Maybe Marco Bellinelli.
Maybe Marco Bellinelli, who would fit neither, and obviously played with the Spurs as well. He was great for them during the postseason.
Hey, man, you can always go back home again.
Hey, Isaiah Thomas, well, he can still score.
Hey, man, LeBron was holding him back. Man, I'm just kidding.